Maker, we please bow our heads for a word of prayer. Stand, please. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you for bringing us all back to the way safely. And as we go through this program, please help us to enjoy this interactive and very informative session and help. Lord, help us to take in all that you will, all that you see fit, and continue to be with us. Bless us into the same in Jesus' name. Alright, so our first song is in 132, the album More About Jesus. In 132. More about Jesus, I would know, more of His grace to all and show, more of His saving fullness see, more of His love to die for me. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of His saving fullness see, more of His love who died for me. More about Jesus, let me learn, more of His holy will discern. Spirit of God, my teacher be, showing the things of Christ to me. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of His saving fullness see, more of His love who died for me. More about Jesus on His throne, riches and glory on His own. More of His kingdom sure increase, more of His coming Prince of Peace. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of His saving fullness see, more of His love who died for me. Our next song is The Youth of the World, number 187 in the Advent Youth Song, 187. We have heard Thy call, Lord Jesus, and our hearts respond with joy. We will pledge Thee our allegiance, for Thy cause are all employed. The youth of the world, for the man of Galilee. The youth of the world,
Whatsoever we are or have, Lord, shall be subject to thy will. Trust us with thy greatest task, Lord, and with joy our hearts shall thrill. The youth of the world, for the land of Galilee. The youth of the world, from all sin and self set free. Every talent pledged in service, now and through eternity. The youth of the world, for the land of Galilee.
Our last song is number 10, Right in the Corner Where You Are. 10, Right in the Corner Where You Are.
Do not wait until the fear of greatness you may do. Do not wait to shed your light afar. To the many duties ever may you now be true. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Someone far from wherever you may guide across the line. Right in the corner where you are. As the path of God is lighted, you may help to live. Let our arrows of your way be gone. Throw into our hearts a longing for the song of cheer. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Someone far from wherever you may guide across the line. Right in the corner where you are. Where all encampments may surely find a need. There we find the bright and morning star. He's the food of the earth, the bread of life indeed. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Someone far from wherever you may guide across the line. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Right in the corner where you are. Someone far from wherever you may guide across the line. Right in the corner
Good evening, everyone. Yes. I invite you to stand as we repeat our AYA Motto Pledge and sing our song. Alright, let's begin with our aim, the Advent message to all the world in my generation. The motto, the love of Christ compels me. Pledge. Loving the Lord Jesus, I promise to take an active part in the youth ministries of the church, doing what I can to help others and to finish the work of the gospel in all the world. Our song,
together we work and pray and play in happy harmony. We have a faith to share with others every day. A message of love from God above to show the one we can. Adventist you. happy harmony. We have a faith to share with others everywhere. A message of love from God above to show the world we care. I practice you. I practice you. I practice you from me.
You may be seated. Thank you. Alright, let me start by saying welcome to all of you to our joint AY health program this evening. I see a lot of unfamiliar new faces with us this evening, and I just want to welcome you to our evening's program. I trust that you have a wonderful evening. I know that we have a very informative session, and I know that we will learn a lot even as we engage with God's Word. For our devotional thought, I want to invite you to turn your Bibles with me to Revelation chapter 12, and we read verse 11 together. Revelation chapter 12, verse 11. Our devotional feature is entitled, By the Blood of the Lamb. Revelation 12, verse 11. Let me find it in the King James Version so I can read it with you. Alright, let's read together. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. The way our blood fights the body's enemies offers a wonderful object lesson in how Christ's blood enables us to overcome sin. Every day we encounter hundreds of germs that could make us sick or even kill us. Yet, usually we are unaware of them. What happens inside the body when it invades it is invaded by these enemies? As soon as the body detects any invaded object or pathogen, the body makes what is known as antibodies. Ooh, there's some good students this evening. Great. They are protein molecules in the blood that fight the pathogen. The next time the pathogen invades the body, special types of cells known as memory cells detect that infectious agent and quickly act to help the body from the exact antibodies needed to fight the enemy. At birth, a baby receives antibodies from its mother through her milk and the placenta. For the first few months of life, the baby actually has resistance to or immunity from the diseases its mother has had, even though the child hasn't had the disease itself. The baby is saved from every pathogen the mother has successfully battled. In the same way, when we are born again by faith in Jesus Christ, we receive power to overcome all sin. Jesus was exposed to all sin for us, so we may overcome through faith in Him. The Bible tells us, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet was without sin." Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. Jesus took on every sin for us. Imagine if a mother could allow herself to be exposed to every physical disease in the world in order to pass on immunity to her children. Even the most loving mother has never done that. Yet, Jesus risked it all so that we could overcome. Our prayer this evening should be that the power of Christ's blood forgive our past sins and continue to give us the ability to overcome every temptation that we will face. That is our devotional thought for the evening. Now, if you worship with us at the news, often you know that we like to start, or before we get into our main feature, we like to have a little icebreaker activity that gets us going, gets us engaged, gets us involved. So we're going to do a little bit of a Bible charge, in groups today. So this is where you will get up. You're going to form 2 even lines, and the first person to form the line to find the text goes to the back, and we will see who completes their line first. Similar to what we did last week, but using Bible verses instead. So if you want to participate, I'm hoping all of you do, get your Bible, stand in a line here. We want 2 lines in the center right here. I will allow phones because I know not everybody has their favorite Bible, but you have to compete. Whoever you're competing with must have the equivalent. So the person who is in your opposite must have a paper Bible or a phone Bible, whichever one. So you might have to share in the group. Well, we have 2 at the front, so we can share these 2 so we can line up behind Sister Carrington and Sister Dupree. Let's go.
Let the lines come. Dr.
Let's
Dupree.
How do you want us to be? Closer? Alright, so for the recording's sake, let's get closer.
Thank you.
Participants, don't be shy. We need 2 even, equal lines. And the objective here is to define the verse first and read it out loud. Do we have 2 even lines? No? That means we need more participants. Don't be shy. It doesn't, we're sharing Sister Carrington's Bible or Sister Dupree's Bible. Yeah, that's what I said. We're sharing Bible. So you don't need to have a Bible. Yes, using one. So the person will just pass their Bible to you when they're done. Alright, do we have even lines? No? Not yet?
Yes.
Uncle Jamal, you are being too Y'all need one more person here? Are you good? 1. He's not shy. We need one more person in this line. Alright, we have one more person. Fantastic. Yay! Alright, so hold your Bible up. When I say charge, that is the only time you can search the Bible. Alright? It's just the first 2, so we have to see if you can get back in front of the line fastest. First text. You have to take out everything in the Bible. No bookmarks, no paper.
They got one book.
Colossians chapter 1, verse 13 and 14. Colossians chapter 1, verse 13 and 14. Charge. Right to it. Wow. All right. Let's go. We are on the charge. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 7. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 7. Charge. chapter 1, verse 18 and 19. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 18 and 19. Church. Right, fantastic. Okay, stay moving. All right, you have your own Bible that you want to use? You can use your own Bible. All right, let's get Denise pages that she's familiar with. All right, so Jamal, the contest is on. All right, Bibles up. All right, we're going to 1 John this time. 1 John chapter 1, verse 7. 1 John chapter 1, verse 7. Church. Was Mom got it right? Almost there. Almost there. All right. Here we go. Let's go to the Old Testament this time. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18. Church. Jeremiah chapter 7 this time, and we'll do verse 5 and 6. Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 5 and 6. Church. Alright, we agree? Contest was on. Alright, the contest is on. No pressure, you agree?
No pressure. Let's do it.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 3 and 4. Genesis chapter 9, verse 3 and 4. Church. Technically, he's right. He doesn't start with verse one verse this time.
Yes.
Hebrews chapter 9, verse 22. Charge. You got your point, Anna. Alright, fantastic. This might be our last one, maybe not. We will see. We will see. Acts chapter 20, verse 28. Acts chapter 20, verse 28. Charge. Amen. Now we have a winner. Thank you all for participating this evening in our activity. I'm going to hand it over to Sister Brathwaite.
Thank you. We're now we've just completed what normally would be the first part of our AY program, and we're now switching to the health department. Every time I say Adventist Youth Hawaii, I kind of feel like an imposter somehow. But you know, it does make me feel a little younger, so I like to come to AY. I'd just like to thank you for cooperating with us and for being here. I have one question to ask, because you know I like trivia. I'm always sitting at my home just making up questions. I do that all the time. I have a lot on my phone. So the question, is blood a tissue or not? Blood is a tissue, true or false?
It's true. It's true.
Blood a tissue. All those who say blood is a tissue, put your hands up.
All who said that? All who believe it is what? Say, repeat your question, Doc.
Well, in the body we have cells, we have tissues, we have organs, we have systems, we have tissue fluid, which make up parts of systems. It is a tissue. It's actually made up of cells. Cells make up tissue. So you have, what types of cells do we have? Red blood cells, white blood cells, and you have a whole range of white blood cells, right? And then we have platelets that take care of clotting. So we have a yes first. Where's Miss Toni? I can't see her. Oh, there she is. She's behind the. Are you going to sit behind the laptop? Oh, okay. She's going to come to the front. So I work in the same department as Toni does. She is a medical technologist, received her training at the Barbados Community College as an associate degree in medical technology and is working towards the bachelor's. Toni is a very pleasant person to work with. She's always all smiles, and she is a dedicated worker. Oh, and she is the cousin of Sister Rachel and Rachel Bartlett and Sarah. Sarah Estrie. So at this time, join me in welcoming Sister Toni Brathwaite to talk.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. How are you all today? I usually like to ask who I'm talking to how they are, make them feel more comfortable with me before I, bore you to tears or something. knowledgeable about blood, so y'all don't need me. At all. There's harder, you don't want hard questions. There's a way I want to put this, but give me a second. To me, there's no hard question. There's just an answer I don't have yet. That's the best that I can explain to everybody. If I don't have the answer, it doesn't mean that there's an absence of an answer. I mean, that's what it was about, right? Finding answers, asking questions. Not sure, we'll come back to it next week, like another episode. So, as I wait for my lovely people to set me up here, a little bit about me. My name is Toni Amanda. I usually go by Amanda, but my family, as they can all tell you, I'm 32. That's not all right at all. Ladies first. I work at KH. I've been there 10 years, counting this year. And I've been a medical technologist for said 10 years. But I've also been a blood collecting technician for about 8 months. So I'm going to speak to you on blood coming from the donor, going to me in the lab for assessment, and then to the patient. So, excuse me. Okay, so sorry guys, the small, that's my bad. Oh. So we begin here is, what is blood? Understanding the cycle from donation to transfusion to aid in salvation. Because at the end of the day, you're helping somebody save a life. You're helping someone look forward to something. That's how I feel when I do what I do. Next slide. So my aim here is purpose of blood collecting technician and the process of donations, the types of donations, explaining my job, which is the laboratory technologist, what we do in handling and managing the actual units that are completed, understanding blood types, and yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be in the chat that y'all have. So if you don't see it right now, it's going to be put here. Yeah, so that's why I'm going to read it out for you at least. If you can't see it, again, I do apologize for that. So we're eliminating any myths and misinformation about blood donation, what happens to units when it comes to the hospital. Understanding the process between donation and transfusion, and decision processes which occur prior to getting transfused. And also, I would hope that I'll be helping y'all make an informed decision about donating, what happens, how you help somebody, help me help somebody. So we all helping each other. Next slide. No, I don't know these people, tell me that. So, this is just a brief overview of me as a person. I'm the eldest of 3. My sister is here with me, she's a twin. My department helped, I would say, save their lives, and I look back on it, I can't thank the hospital enough. Without them, I won't be here. Without them, they won't be here either. I'm also a member of Checker Hall, so yay! Big up Checker Hall people if you're there. My family's predominantly teachers. This does not mean I can teach. I am just showing you. I am not a teacher by mistake. And I am a big avid gamer. I love to travel, I love to sing, dance. Anything that brings me joy or that I can do to help somebody, you're probably going to find me there. As, what's it called? I think the dangerous thing is, are you always in game stores? Are you born in game stores? Yeah. I know by my size, I'm born in game stores. Next slide. So we're starting here at Blood Collection Center. So this is where they need and behind Sylvester Starters. Next slide. So who are blood collecting technicians? Now when you go to donate, there's going to be an individual who comes to you and says, hi, you know, who are you? Have you donated before? Those are the blood collecting technicians. they're the ones who actually facilitate the donation process. They actually take the blood from you. So in the beginning, like I said, you get an interview. You have to check the vitals because I really don't want nobody fainting on me, please. None of that. So we have to make sure your blood pressure is normal, your hematocrit or your blood count is up to a certain point, or you won't be able to donate. So I'm gonna kind of breeze through it, like I said, because y'all are gonna have it in a chat, but if you do have questions, feel free to ask at any point. So we're at, the donor is not, hopefully the donor is not feeling ill, or else you will be unfortunately deferred. Sniffles, coughing, I just was on antibiotics. You can't take blood from you because, and I will throw in the jargon here, because your white blood cells are active now, and you don't want active white blood cells that you're fighting your infection with to go to somebody else who's also fighting a probably worse infection in a worse state than you. Pretty much fighting bad with the bad to equal worse. Alright, and my third point on the right, I really like to stress to everybody, because if you're not honest with us, it makes your experience a lot worse and it makes my life a lot harder. Because I had an issue where this guy says, no, I'm good, I ate, I just came straight from work, I'm on my lunch hour. And he did not get too far in the donation process. He saw the needle and the entire bed, jeans included, were sore. He took a very long nap, and we didn't know that he actually was hypertensive. So that's why I said, please be honest with us. It helps us help you. So it's not to just turn you away, it's actually for your benefit as well. And number 5, yes. Number 5 is remain calm. It's very quick. Usually the person is either right in front of you or just within your eyesight region. There's no need to panic. It's a little sting. Nobody likes pain, but it's a process. It's a very quick, almost like a 5-minute process, and bonus, you get a snack at the end. It's great. That's just because in losing blood, you also get a little bit tired, so you have to put in a little bit of sugar to bring back up the energy levels. Because we don't want you walking out onto the street and then suddenly, I feel a little tired though. I want to sit down. Before you even sit, I want to sit down, your face planted onto the floor, onto the concrete floor. We try to avoid that, so we usually give you a small snack with a sugary drink to at least put a little pep in your step. Yes?
How does medication affect all of the problems that we know of potential blood donor?
With hypertension, you have to be medicated in order to donate. And this is why. Uncontrolled hypertension can lead to stroke. Very simple. And the body being under some level of stress, even if it's just a tiny amount, your blood pressure will rise. We always take your blood pressure before donation. So we will see, okay, your blood pressure is a little elevated. Are you medicated or are you not medicated? Depending on how high it is, and if you say yes or no, the donation will stop. We won't even go further because we don't want to incite having someone faint, a stroke, because fainting actually is just loss of consciousness and we have to bring you back. Your body is in a hard reset and we don't like when that happens because then it takes more work to bring you back. And hypertension can also cause strokes, like I said. So we don't know if you're fainting because you're uneasy or a little overwhelmed or if it's actually starting to be a stroke. So you can donate if you're hypertensive, but you have to be medicated. And you have to say that in the interview process as well. So that at least we will mark and we will know you are a known hypertensive with medication.
I think your pressure just goes up because you're afraid to get. So your pressure just go up just because you're afraid to get sick. I've experienced that with giving blood and Rastaman come in. My man don't believe in this anymore. I don't believe in this blood thing, but his wife got his blood. He was face jumping tall red man. He's saying he's afraid of it. He eventually gave up. And he was my so he was set up. But anyway, the thing is, if your blood pressure rises because of just simple anxiety, we just still do the blood donor.
if it rises from anxiety, which we like to call white coat syndrome, pretty much somebody in a white coat comes like, oh my gosh, I get dead. Pressure gone up in the air, I'm unmedicated, I don't even know if I'm hypertensive, diabetic, or anything in between. That I actually have that, I'm gonna be very honest. I do not like a white coat coming to me, don't mind, I wear white coats. We will still go through a donation depending on how high it goes, because we will monitor the blood pressure to at least see if it's going to stay within a reasonable level, or if it keeps going up, we're gonna have to defer you until a later date. So you can still donate if you're anxious. We'll usually walk you through it, talk you through it, we'll tell you every step that's gonna happen. There's no surprises, nothing unexpected. And unfortunately, Rastaman was one of those people that if he did not say I fainted before, we don't know we can faint again, unfortunately. But it is a process that can be kind of scary to the average individual, but nothing to be deterred of. We need it that big. We need it that there's bigger ones. Let me tell you, no, there's bigger ones. It's not. So that's the only issue. Yes.
And there's certain countries that you can't travel to within 6 months before you give blood?
Before donation?
Yeah, before donation. I remember being turned down to travel. Not me, someone else.
Each country has a particular rules when it comes to blood donation. There is a standard that is set by the long and short of the name of the association, the Bloodline Society Internationally Known. Depends on where you're going, especially after you donate. Do not think it's a wise idea to get on a flight the same day after donating. People have done it and they've been successful, but it's not something I would recommend doing. Unless you absolutely have to, I won't recommend it. Yes.
There are also some countries that have endemic diseases that we do not have. For example, malaria, yellow fever. If you have been to those countries, it would be better to wait a while to be sure that you are not carrying any form of the disease or the viruses that cause viruses or bacteria that cause those diseases before you.
Yes, it actually is advised that before traveling to that country, I think there's some countries that you have to be vaccinated for before you actually go there, because you have a higher chance of picking up said disease or bacteria or organism that can affect your blood count level. And if you are what's called in an incubation period, where to put it in easier terms, where the bacteria or the organism is literally just chilling, sitting down in the gut, having a vacation before it actually causes a reaction, you can transfer that to somebody. And then, so you imagine you transferring that to the next year-old granny, that's not nice. So yes, there's a waiting period. About a month, I believe it depends, but a month is the safest time. Yes.
I'm just wondering, but when you take blood from someone, in your analysis, would you be able to determine whether or not the person is infected in some way?
When it comes to infectious diseases in the blood, which is where I come in, you can go to the next slide. Which is the process I just spoke to you all about, which is sanitize, interview, your vitals are taken, you relax, blood is taken, process is complete. Right? Right, so this is what you're speaking of, which is what I do. When you come into the lab, you can change the slide. When you come into the lab, we have to actually test the units for 5 major bloodborne pathogens or diseases, which would be HIV, hepatitis B and C, HTLV1 and 2, and syphilis. Those are the major, easily passed bloodborne diseases. When I say easily passed, they can just go under the radar. You may not know it yet. You may not know it yet, but once you do transfusion into somebody, they might just get terminally ill in a matter of days, and you don't know why until we do further testing to realize, well, the unit was actually compromised. But what happens here is that when it gets to me, we have to do certain tests to the unit. Testing it serologically, which is what I just explained, and you have to get the group of the person, of the actual donor unit. By the time it comes to me, it's a donor unit. So donor and donor unit, think of it as the same thing, just one is a representation of the other. Is that easy to remember? Cool. So we have to get the group of the unit because we have to actually categorize them by groups in the shelves. So to answer your question, yes, we do testing for those particular pathogens, but also in the interview process, there are certain questions that are asked, like have you traveled to other Caribbean countries, or did you do any international travel? Where to? How long were you there? Have you been feeling ill? And you say, man, I might get bit by a mosquito, yo. I think we're gonna have to defer you for another 3 weeks to make sure you don't have yellow fever, because that can be passed. That's not something we test for on the units. That's a stopping point. So the interview process is like a screening that narrows the field of donors to the best possible candidates for donation. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. I have some smart people here, I love it. So, we analyze the units and we manage the stock. So, as I said, we have to categorize all the units by group. There are 8 blood groups among humans, positive and negative. 4 each, I should say. 4 positive and 4 negative blood groups. So this is actually one of the cards that, right, this is actually one of the cards we use to test the blood group of the units. And my friend in the top right here is actually plasma that has been what's called harvested from a unit. So when you donate blood, you don't actually only exclusively donate blood. We actually harvest what's called harvesting products from it. So ladies, lovely little chart here says you have the group, what's called an antibody screen, to see if there's any inflammatory processes, or if your antibodies are in a state of high activity, or if you've had an exposure to something that could have caused your antibodies to react. The serological testing, which would be the hepatitis B, HIV, what's not. Once those are cleared, we have to actually sign each and every single unit that is tested. And then it goes into the stock uses that we can use to cross-match for every individual who needs it. Next slide. So back to what I was saying with the blood groups, there's 8 of them, 4 positive, 4 negative. And fun fact, your parents are responsible for your blood group. And also another fun fact I don't have here, your blood group is also based on, since y'all are so smart, I'm gonna give y'all a cheat code. There are actual sugars in your blood that contribute to what your blood group is. Yeah, sugar ain't so bad, ain't it? So, let me say this now, your O negative is a universal donor. Think of that as just a giant capital O, nothing on it at all, period. Plain and safe. Versus an AB positive, which would say, call it the same capital O, the circle wise, but it has trees and it has birds on it. Think of it like that. So an AB positive could get a giant capital O with nothing, but you can't give an O negative person an AB positive unit that is run strictly for losing life, which we're not about. So your red cells have, and y'all know this, I heard y'all say this, so I don't want to say no confusing faces. Your red cells have actual antigens that determine how your red cells are going to react to blood grouping. So that's also how we know what group you are. And from one unit, we can get 4 different products from it. We can get what's called packed red cells, the actual, I'm not sure if y'all would have seen it in people that when you go visit the hospital, a bag that's just hanging with a bunch of red fluid, that is called packed red cells. Something that you may or may not have seen. Something, the picture that I would have shown you earlier, plasma, that's something else that we harvest as well. Platelets, I don't exactly have a picture of platelets because of how they look, but similar to plasma, but a lot less. And then we also have something called cryoprecipitate. Run that one by it again. Cryoprecipitate. So it's another manufacture from blood that we can harvest and concentrate. Long story short of cryoprecipitate, if this person is bleeding and they're missing something called factors that stop the bleeding, that is almost like concentrated in factors to give the person. Make sense? Lovely. Next.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
What happens if someone gets the wrong blood type?
When you say the wrong blood type, you mean actually not their own at all?
Yes.
Yeah, they die.
They die?
Very fast. Very painfully. Very quickly,
I
yes.
remember reading something in the paper, I think it happened in 2012, when this young lady was given here in Barbados the wrong blood type. And she had various complications. But the funny thing about it, although it was years after, she was asking for compensation, but she did not get it. It was a big lot of controversy and all sorts of things. So I was saying, because she even said that when they put up the blood, she saw the wrong type on it. And she brought it to the nurse's attention, but it's like nobody paid any money. So she got the wrong blood type. But apparently all was not filtered into her. It was a certain amount, and then she was getting all of these different complications. So I was saying that if she had gotten all of that, probably she would have died.
Really and truly, it doesn't take long. If it's the entirely wrong blood type, now here's where it comes into play. That blood groups kind of hold hands. They're almost frenemies, so to speak.
Okay.
So for an example, whoever knows their blood group, just push up their hand, just real quick. That's a good video. Great. Any A+ people? Fantastic. Any O+ people? I'll raise my hand for example. Great. So the thing is, if we do not have that particular blood type, if we don't have by chance an A+ that is compatible with the patient, the next group that we are going to pull will be closer to the group of the patient. So an A- will be the next thing. It may not be your blood type in particular, it might not be an A+, but it's in the same grouping scheme. So to answer that, you cannot give somebody an entirely different blood group, but you can give a similar and compatible blood group. The reason why I said who is A+, who is O+, you can give an A+ person an O+ blood once it's compatible. Once we test it, make sure it's compatible. But you cannot give an O+ person an A+ DNA. That's when the danger comes in. So with that patient, if you could find the article and show me, that would be great. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna be interested in
I read it at work something back. That's not this year though, but I guess it's fine. Everybody,
It's possible to get a different blood group that is compatible with yours, that is not exactly your blood group. That's the fun about being so fearfully and wonderfully made. You are helping each other inadvertently by being different, but you're not so different at the end of the day. So think of it as one of those unique traits that is inexplicable, but can be simply explained. Get what I'm saying? It's inexplicable, but it can be explained. One of those things I look at God and say, well, that's kind of interesting. For instance, I'll give you another one. We had a case where this patient was O negative. An elderly gentleman, all of the O negatives were incompatible. Our clinician on the hand, which is called a hematologist, he says try an O+ unit. 3 O+ units were compatible for this one, and he had all 3. Did he die? Nope. But can he get O+ after that? Nope. Because his body is now like, oh, this is what it is. Watch it next time. So again, Fearfully and wonderfully made. Inexplicable but simply explained. Making sense is one of those wonders that I can't even myself fully explain. No matter how much I think deep into it, it's just one of those things that I say God will be at work. So it is possible, but still you have to be very careful. So there are 3 types of donations. Autologous, it goes to you. You actually go and donate blood. We do have patients that actually do that before surgery, where they donate their own. And then when surgery comes, they're giving back their own. Directed, meaning only one to another. That unit is only going to one particular individual. So almost like a situation that's easy to understand, a mother to a child. That child's only going to get the mother's blood. Depending on the situation, obviously. But directly, that's exactly what direct means. Then you have a replacement where you might donate for somebody, you might not be their blood group, but your unit ends up into the blood bank stock levels. So you pretty much put back what we would have already pulled for somebody else, for the same person.
Is it 100% guarantee if you donate your blood for yourself that you're going to get back your blood?
Absolutely. However, yes, but like I said, we also test all of the units. If we do find that the unit is serologically positive, meaning it has either HIV, hepatitis B, C, HTLV, one of those 5, we will alert the doctor and say, well, they have this. We can do a unit on standby in case you don't want to transfuse their own blood at the time. Pretty much reinfecting yourself. So it can happen. You are 100% guaranteed to get back your own unless those circumstances happen. And then you speak to your physician. Well, the physician will talk to you or to the family depending on the state you as a patient are in. Because if you're sleeping, well, you can't exactly tap your wake up and say, you got lots of syphilis here, my friend. I don't know if you want this back, right? But we got 2 more on standby for you. So ideally, you may not know. That's the thing. You actually may not know. But we still have to do our job and alert the physician. And then they have to come and talk to you or to your family at the time. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you didn't know that, if you don't know the agent positive and then you got to this meeting, then the doctor has to.
They actually have to inform you, or again, depending on the state you're in, next of kin. Because once the units are positive, we have to alert the doctor that, yes, we have found one and it's this person. They are co-sequestered or put one side. Any information being divulged to the patient is out of our hands. The physician has to do that.
And another question, when the doctor takes blood from a patient, before, okay, so for instance, patient that has to get a unit of blood, the doctor will take the blood and then group and cross match it. Explain the difference. There's a different group and cross match.
One of you could get hard questions, but don't worry with me. So the doctor will take a sample from you if you're due to get a transfusion. Grouping is the same thing we do to the unit. We figure out what group you are. Okay, so let's say for instance, you might be a B plus. Cross-matching now is where you're matching donor cells to patient plasma or to B. When you separate a sample, there's a level that is going to be not, how should I put it? That is not red cells, it's actually plasma, what floats in your body. Blood is made up of hundreds of different components, plasma being one of them. It's the little ocean the red cells swim in. So we cross-match donor cells, patient plasma. Once they are compatible, meaning we don't have any reaction, everything is good, then it's given to the patient. So grouping, we just want to know what blood type you are. That's the first thing. Because we can't just say, we're going to pull an A plus today, cross-match it, realize 5 of them are incompatible when they're really a B plus person. You can't just pull and do like that. we have to actually know the group first. No matter what happens, no matter how critical the case is, if I don't know the blood group, we need to know. We have to do it ourselves. So examples where, let's say there's gunshot wounds, shootout, Amy has one guy bleeding out, and they want what will be called, they want to have emergency units issued. They're going to reach for ONEG because, as you see, ONEG ticks all of the boxes, right? So anybody can have ONEG blood lines. That's just to start with, but we still need to know what your group is, so that you can't just deplete the ONEG sources. You need to get your own group, because then you can also develop antibodies. Because since blood is a tissue, you giving someone else tissue, pretty much introducing a whole new entity to the person's physical body. The body's going to react. So there, I don't know this. This looks a little weird. I don't like it. Antibodies will develop. And that's how incompatibilities start. So, yes, we will issue the ONEG as emergency, but we still will do our own investigation and cross-matchings of your own group.
The question that was asked a while ago, if HIV is found in the blood and sexual related issues, there are actually some people, I would like to call them rascals, but I mean, I have to be gentle. There are actually some people who don't want to go and get tested for HIV, so they will go and donate because they know that their blood will get tested and they will get the information. That is not right. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of government resources. If you want to get tested for HIV, go to your doctor and ask the doctor to get blood and get sent to the lab to be tested for HIV. But people have been known to do that as a way of getting to know without having to go to the doctor first. In any case, they're going to know. But they want to keep it, on the wraps. So please don't do that.
This is coming from the doctor, disclaimer, okay? Please understand, this is coming from the doctor herself. And I actually have met one of those people. And it was a she. She just came in, I just want to donate some blood. Okay. Nothing wrong with going and donate freely. We promote that. Freely donate, it's fine. But when you come with a vendetta like that, we can sniff that out pretty easily. And you think so or not, we can sniff that out depending on the questions we ask, how you reply, your behavior, your mannerisms. We're trained to be very observant. And we have to listen carefully. Because somebody like that, as much as their unit will be sequestered and it won't be in use, you're still wasting my time. And you just made me use a whole bag that I can't use anymore for nobody. That I just had to turn away a 45-year-old guy because he didn't take his hypertension medication today and he will come back tomorrow. So if that was the last bag, then responsibility and due diligence is the name of the game. So if you know anybody like that, please deter them. Very strong deter. So next slide.
Yes, please.
Is universal donor.
Yes.
So therefore anybody with ONEG blood would be advised to donate because the more of that you have in the blood bank, the better.
Yeah. Actually, one of the rarest ones on the island is actually AB negative. So if there are any AB negative people in here, see me outside. I'll go book an appointment for you personally. So yes, if you're ONEG, especially considering that, for example, this is how vital it is. We had a patient who had what's called an upper and lower GA bleed, and they went to an HB of 2. Considering the norm for HB is, our hemoglobin level is between 10 and 15, or about 10 and 14 for females. coming down to a level of 2, you're feeling a little bit bad, just a little bit, you know? And if this person is not responding to regular treatment, they're gonna call us and say, we're gonna bring a sample of weed that you did to know. So we have to issue them the ONEG. They have to sign a form, but the unit will still be issued. And sometimes I have seen as much as about 50 ONEG on the shelf, and sometimes I've seen only 5. And that is to cover the entire island. And the island is about how many people? 200,000? So about 300,000 and 5 ONEG. Like actually count them on my hand. 5 ONEG units. So that can happen, as with most reagents and stuff. But if you're ONEG, yes, please do it. ABNEG, yes, please do it. I can do it. Definitely not promoting it. Yes.
How long do you keep the blood, and how do you identify what an adequate supply to keep in stock?
The first part of the question, units are kept for 35 days. So every month and 5 days, a unit that's the expiry date, 35 days. And to your second question, the adequate amount, if I go pretty fridge, like I'll go in the next fridge to get another unit, that's great. If I have 2 fridges full, that's great. That is happy days for me. Matter of fact, if I have 3 fridges full, and fridges are generally, for example size, about 2 of these put together will be 1 fridge, and about 6 shelves. And to all my carpenter people, and to the lovely gentlemen in the audience, oh yeah, that is nothing this. Considering that anything can happen at any time. We've had from mass casualties to we had to deal with some gunshot wounds, and then you might have a guy who gets stabbed in his head today. And then I have to deal also with a lady in labor ward who's delivering but also lost 1.5 liters of blood. And now I have to kind of find 4 units to spread between these individuals. So the adequate amount, there's no set number, but we have our low limit that we cannot go under. If we do, there are certain protocols that go into place. So actual number, I'm not sure. Such as in terms of so protocols such as having what's called elective surgeries. So if someone is going, let's say they're going to get a hernia removed, or they're going for a C-section. An elective surgery means you chose to have it. Or it has to be done and we're going to put an appointment for it. Elective meaning an appointment has been made for this particular procedure. If we don't have enough, elective's done. We can't facilitate them, because if something does go wrong, and I have, let's say, 5 A4s on the shelf and 1 ONEG, and the body happens to be ONEG, by some strange chance, it always happens, where the lowest unit is always the one in need. So if I have 5 A4s and 1 ONEG, and 2 of those patients are OPAs and ONEG, if something happens, we can have a problem. So we will start, well not us, it comes as a directive from what's called the hematologist, who is pretty much a doctor's level to what we do. They will say, we can't facilitate this, it can't happen. The risk is too great.
So I want to go extended from this question. The QEA should still be main and only source that receives blood.
You mean in terms of storage and handling?
Yeah.
We are the only blood bank on the island. The only one. One. Whatever we have at QH is it. There's no secret stash or treasure island level. We can just pull a pocket out and pull out 16 more.
The other new place in St. George that handles they don't have.
We have literally the only blood bank on the island. Meaning when I leave here, I'm going there. And that's it. That's the only place that it has the facilities to store, cross-match, and issue blood.
You all get the one here, like some countries that is, yeah, that donation for your donation. Just asking, are you sure the levels will go up in the nation? Just asking.
No, that's fine. There's no question here. Just like, if I give $5, I'll get 10 units. No, we don't have that. Because we don't believe in buying units.
Box juice costs $2. You don't get one, you get 2 boxes of juice, okay? So that's 4.
Well, let me reason this with you, right? Hold on, actually. No, I can continue it. Let me reason this with you. How much does it cost to turn on a fan? It costs money. I'm not asking for a literal amount. It costs money. It has to be made and issued at a price. How much does it cost for y'all to make blood? You ever have to pay to get blood made? If you have, please see me outside after blood. Have you ever, very seriously, have you ever had to pay to get blood made? I like going blood. Exactly, right? However, you buy food. It is one of those things called a renewable resource. Because even if I take it from you, about 3-4 days later, you're already back at normal levels. Matter of fact, 2 days, normal levels. So the fact that you're fearfully and wonderfully made the same way that people say there is 3 renewable resources, I call it 4, because you don't know exactly what goes into blood being made. I don't know the entire, majority of the process, but coming down to these smaller molecules, where do they come from? What is the molecules in here? How are those made? These are things that we can't put a price on that God just says, you know what? Free. And to be quite fair, if it weren't for us having that renewable resource, a lot of people won't be here today. If they had to actually pay for blood. When you're going private, you pay for the process of cross-matching, which is what I do. Where I have to take my materials and make sure it's compatible, but you're not paying for blood extra. You understand what I mean? Barbados doesn't have a price on it. Make sense? Yes.
I want to make a point, and then if you could mention the other protocols afterwards, because I don't think you mentioned one.
That was the main one. I thought it was that one.
Okay. But I just wanted to put a plug in for what you said about QDH being the only bank for blood. So, I work at a in private healthcare. And all these private hospitals and all these other places that do surgeries and everything else, we also have to, if we need blood for the patients, we also need to come to QEH. So it's not just QEH patients that use the blood river. So just to show you like how many people are actually using the blood bank.
The magnitude at which we will issue versus what we gain is not always great, but a little appreciation in our direction that we being the only one, and like you said, you're one of more than a handful of facilities who actually use the blood bank facilities to obtain blood for patients. It's not just QEH, it's not just outside the environs of QEH, it is the entire island, and sometimes people who need to be airlifted out, we have to give them units as well.
Right, so as Toni had mentioned before, there are different ways in which we get blood. One of the main, I think the main one in Barbados is replacement donors. So even last week, I had to go donate blood to somebody who was having surgery this week. And that is how the blood bank is replenished. There are very, very few volunteer donors, but there are people who are committed to giving blood to the bank. And blood can be done. I have a friend, not in Barbados, I have a friend who actually is a prostate cancer survivor. who donates blood to the Children's Hospital every 3 months. Every 3 months, he donates blood. So when we become sensitized to how important blood donation is, and hoping that there's some of us, with every sermon there comes an appeal. So if I can make the appeal in the middle of the sermon, I'm appealing to all healthy people, males and females, to commit, to give your lives to saving somebody else by becoming a volunteer blood donor. There are systems in which there are paid donors. We don't use that here. We have found that paid donors can be very unreliable and very unsafe because they come for the money. And a lot of those units have to be rejected because you can imagine a drug addict who is probably not going to admit that they're a drug addict but coming to sell their blood. So they want my picture. So I would say that paid donors, in systems where there are paid donors, people sell their blood. There are a number of people, for example, who have found themselves in debt, who have found themselves being scammed, and they have to they end up selling blood to get money. But these units are sometimes the most unreliable waste of time blood units that we can get, because people actually can use them to feed their bad habits. And so we don't encourage that, at least in the Caribbean we do. We're asking for volunteer blood donors. And once again, I want to appeal to you, if you're well enough, if you've been to the blood bank, to the blood collecting unit, and you have passed the interview, I'm asking you to please commit to donating blood at least twice a year. Our blood bank, as Toni will tell you, sometimes suffers from depletion. And we have to put off people who need surgery, but who we think can wait, but they still need surgery. And as you know, we're living in days when every week we hear of gunshots, injuries, stabbings, etc. Some of these people do make it to the hospital and they drain the blood bank. And after they drain the blood bank, some of them die. So we're asking you to tell people that you know to join us and donate blood at least twice a year. Thank you.
The age limit being from about 18 to, I think it is 65. If they have extended to 70, I'm not sure.
It's probably going up to 70. As you know, the age is going up to 70. I was there last week. I am past 65, for those of you who are curious. And that was not a limiting factor. I could still have donated. And I'm over 65. So I think we could go up to 70. And you want to take your time.
Oh, that's fine. I always appreciate a promotion for Blood Night because, like I said, from the beginning of this entire, presentation, that I am one of 3. And my brother and sister actually benefited from Blood Night themselves. And they have these stars to prove it. So, and I have also done multiple cross matches for some of the tiniest of babies. Sometimes the doctors come and say, here, look. They show me a picture and the child is like the size of my hand. My hands are not big, and for me, it pulls on me, not only being an advance, but as a human being, to see somebody, well no, I don't see patients, let me put that out there first. I don't personally see people. I do get the request for it. But to see a request saying 95 years old, anemia, which is a lower than normal blood count, and the actual blood count is something like 5, how can I not be inclined to say, no, if I pull 3 units, have them all. Take them all. Once they're compatible, that is. Take them all. How can I not be inclined to say, when I get one of my friends to say, yo, my mother in hospital, she ain't doing so great, the men say they need blood. You just need to tell me the name, I will fight it. How can I not be inclined to help my own brethren? Because at the end of the day, the Bible says we're each other's keeper. My brother's keeper to be the exact quote, but we're each other's keeper. And I don't want to say it is a lead or a bag or a promotion, but you are helping me help somebody. And at the end of the day, you are helping somebody. I can't stress how hard it is to have to tell a doctor I don't have any more blood for this 104-year-old granny. I've had patients that old, 104-year-old granny, who just need 1 unit to get out of the hospital. And I don't have it because I don't have her blood group. And it gets so sensitive at times where you can't just give anybody, you know, an A+ person can have O+, O negative, or A negative. Not every person can get that treatment because sometimes they're so bad, you have to stick in that blood. So imagine we have to actually use our resources for that life, for that one individual. Just to put something on your minds to think about, like, the magnitude of what we do, and I can confidently say there's about 15 of us on the island train to do this, myself included. At any point in time, one of us is going to answer the call. The call of, we need emergency units, this person is bleeding, they're hemorrhaging. It has to be us to face the reality of looking at the shelves and seeing 4 units and have to balance 2 people who actually need them. How we do it? At this point, professionally, God knows, because I've done it, and I can only say God knows how I got it done. I don't take no liberty for that. 1, then 2, so yes.
Rachel?
Oh, Rachel?
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3.
My question is, apart from those who serologically may not be able to give blood, who else cannot give blood? We hear a lot of things, oh, if you want certain types of medication, if you want certain types of conditions, who cannot give blood?
Persons who are ineligible outside of age. We have those who are on what's called thyroid medication. If you have hypothyroidism, you cannot donate because you're producing factors that somebody else may already have and you might exacerbate the levels. So condition dependent, and also another one we do not accept is actually cancer survivors, unfortunately. Because we don't have the specialized needs to probably filter and separate and create different types of, because we, like I told you, we do 4 different things from 1 unit. There are facilities outside of the Barbados that actually can get about 8 different types of units just to even be transfused. So cancer survivors are no. So it's a lot of condition dependent and medicated level kind of situations. And high risk, sexually active people who do not kind of take care of themselves. Well, actually, we take anybody, to be quite honest. Your sexual orientation does not matter. Because at the end of the day, when we test it, then it's when we can say yes or no that unit can be put into stock or not. So your sexual orientation does not matter, but we have to take into account that this is a possibility. It's not like 1940s where, you know, certain people were ineligible immediately because of how HIV was prominent at the time. We still accept anybody, but we're still mindful of what we accept. Yes.
How do y'all determine if somebody cannot donate? Like, my husband went to donate blood and they told him he only had enough blood for himself. He cannot donate blood. How y'all determine that?
there is a process during the interview where they prick your finger and it goes in this tiny little what's called a capillary tube. It's really small. And when we spin it, there's a certain level minimum it has to be at. If it is below that level, we can't take it from you because we might actually incite what's called a vasovagal reaction, alias fainting. So if you're already operating at a minus level, and I drain you to even minus level, you understand how that can really affect you? Yeah. No problem.
I'm hearing donation, donors, units. How much donations make up a unit? And the other thing is that I'm assuming, and may not be right, that you use the donations for transfusion, because I haven't heard anything much really about transfusion. But I'm assuming that the donations are for transfusion. But I think the question on how many donations make up a unit.
Okay, no problem. So I can simplify this. I need 3 people.
No.
3 willing volunteers. There's no harm, no people will be harmed in the process, right? Just no needles. There'll be no needles, loss of blood, life, or anything involved in this situation. Just need 3 willing volunteers. The chief's not ready. If I had
Can I
enough
ask
for
you a
this.
question, please?
Yes.
Can those with sickle cell anemia give blood, donate blood?
That's actually no, because that's what's called a hematological condition. That's a condition by which your red cells are not normal. Your red cells are not normal, so we can't take it from you because you already are operating at a lower than normal efficiency. So things like sickle cell, something called thalassemias, leukemias, lymphomas, no. Because if you take blood from a sickle cell person, that's almost exsanguination level. And again, what happens with exsanguination? If you need to know, that's something to Google.
Okay, I don't have sickle cell, but my sister before me has it. So they don't allow me to give blood.
That is because you might have what's called a trait. Now, sickle cell operates in a way that it is genetically passed, but you can either have full blown sickle cell or you can have a trait. If we know that you have a trait, we will not risk taking it from you simply because the trait can still exhibit some kind of sign in an individual. So you might be prone to fainting that you might not be known of, but your blood level operates a little bit differently. So you're trying to get, the idea is trying to get the highest purity, a highest level of normal from the individual's body.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, once you put somebody with sickle cell or potentially a trait under stress, then it makes them worse. And then we have to deal with that in the process. So, quick demonstration. I'm not actually really want to demonstrate. Right, so, the donors. So, terms being tossed out: donors, donation, units, levels, transfusion. This is a donor. She gives a unit. 1 unit is 1 donor. So you get 1 bag from 1 individual. And no, we don't take 2 bags from people at the same time. That's not allowed. In a bag, it has about 400, the unit comes up to about 450 mils. It sounds like a lot, but think of it that you have, this is only a quart, really less than a quart of what you have circulating. So consider it like a box juice getting taken from you. A box juice and a patty or something. So she donates this. She's a donor, And this is the unit. So our donor leaves. I have the unit now. This is the technologist here with the said unit. What she does, she will do the cross-matching between the patient and the... My man, I know you going, but I ain't got accredited. You go and check it out, but it's not cheap. It's quick for the machine. So, some people, I will admit, there's some people that are not fully successful in donation, so the body can be a little lighter than normal. But the technologist will then do all the clerical work, make sure the number is corresponding with the form, and a sample is taken from him and is sent to what's called serology, whole different department that actually does all the testing. So the unit is being tested. Imagine a little Brathwaite sign here, like actual testing time. It ain't possible, but it's hard. So it actually is testing. The unit is fully tested and it is clear for use to put into stock or to be put out there that we can use. So the technology getting checked. So the unit that is in stock right now. This comes from the donor. The technologist has tested it, deemed that it is good to be put into stock or to use. So Anastasia has an HP of 5.9, which is very low, considering she's a young female. I'm not going to ask age, we'll leave that up to her. She needs a unit. Now, being a technologist, unit is tested, unit is opals. She is opals. We pull the unit. The cross-matching is the process, like I said, donor cells, donor red cells from the unit with her plasma. Once it is compatible and it actually has a reaction, when there's no reaction, that means it's compatible and we can issue it. The unit goes to her. And that is the process by which the unit goes through. So she gets transfused with the unit. So the unit comes from a donor, meaning you, me, whoever. The unit comes from one donor. One bag is one person. That one person is tested. Once it's good, it's given to the patient. Once we cross-match it. We don't just give it freely like you know. But once it's deemed compatible, then the patient has it. Does it make sense like that? Yeah. If you don't understand, please raise your hand. I am one of those very big people that's raised their hand I don't understand. So everybody understands the process? Cool. Yes. There are different factors, and that also will depend on what your physician deems necessary for you to have a unit. Having a low blood count, sorry, she's transfusing, she's great, guys, great. Okay, she goes home. So they're different. I think Debbie's the best person to answer that.
What was the question?
What qualifies a person for transfusion?
Every time you show up at the blood is very important. One of the first tests that we do is called a full blood count, or a complete blood count. And that includes your hemoglobin. Your hemoglobin, as Toni mentioned before, should be like about in the range of 12 to 15 grams per deciliter. When it falls below a level that we think is making you unhealthy, let us suppose somebody comes in, we'll take the common, somebody comes in with a stab wound and they've been bleeding. We do the complete blood count and the blood level is at 10. And we give IV fluids and the person seems to be doing well. But we can't stop the bleeding. We check it again, it's say at 6. This is not, the person can live, but they will not be functioning at maximum because blood is what transmits everything around your body and oxygen to your lungs. Therefore, we will top it up. It's like your phone going to 30% or 15% will give you a good. There are people who have chronic anemia, so the people like sickle cell anemia, they may be operating on a hemoglobin of 6 and may be doing fairly well because that's their steady state. However, if somebody with sickle cell is going to have a baby, it may put them at risk. So let's say the placenta was in the wrong place and they have excess bleeding, we're going to have to top them out. So basically it's a top-up situation. So we're not trying to get everybody who is sick up to 13, but there is a level at which you will begin to show signs and symptoms of anemia. It could be either chronic or it could be acute, meaning you've lost a lot of blood. We have about 5 liters of blood circulating. If you lose 2 liters very quickly, you will probably go into shock. So those are the kinds of things we're trying to prevent, when we top you.
That answers your question?
That answers your question. The question is for me? Okay, ask for me.
Okay, I guess everybody can hear me.
No, everybody.
Okay. My question is about priorities. So you have a 104-year-old person who needs help. You have a gunshot wound. You have a pregnant woman who's bleeding out on the operating table. You have a neonate, a newborn, a preemie, and they all need blood. You have a limited supply. How do you choose?
I would want to go home first. But it will then depend on, it depends on the level of each individual. Because yes, you can need it. So it depends on the level of each individual. Because everybody can need below a count of 9. But if you go to a count of 5, that's when there are different levels of anemia. I think Dr. Lee can explain that better than me, but there are different levels of anemia. There is, you come in with an HB of 10, lower than normal, but enough to survive. You drop to something like about 9, 8, a little bit lower than normal, you're clinically anemic. By all recognitions, it is anemia. You're dropping to a level of about 5 now, that's critical condition. How we choose it at work, it is really a matter of what's available and who is compatible. Because I can take one unit and cross-match each person once it's within the same group. Cross-match each person against that one unit. If 4 out of 5 people are incompatible, person number 5 is compatible against that unit. Then I have to go back and try again. And that's why each of us are so carefully made, because each of us develop antibodies different to our situations, because you might have antibodies that somebody in India does not have. And somebody in India might have one that in Australia does not have. So that's why we also stress donations, the variety in blood to those very small points that can make or break compatibility levels is what drives us to have to pull more and try again each time. So who gets what? Everybody has to get. What will have to happen is we will probably have to go into the register, because we have a book that has everybody who has blood available. And people come to sign it out, doctors, nurses, whoever. They come and sign it out. I might have to take from one of those people to satisfy the needs of 3. So if I have to pull 3 different units, sometimes from one person, or sometimes from 3 different people, to actually cross-match, to make sure everybody is covered as an emergency, that's what we have to do. So priority scaling, immediate no, purpose, yes. But if the doctor says we could wait till tomorrow, fantastic. That person is put aside until we can actually account for them. But in emergency cases where there's, and I've had to do it myself, where somebody bleeding, somebody crashing, and somebody in A&E coming with a stab wound to the heart. I now have to prioritize the guy with a stab wound to the heart because he's an active, profuse bleeder. Once he has, and I'm satisfied myself, he has 2 units and they can come when they're ready and to start on the next people. So it's not just a matter of everybody gonna get and everybody will get one. It depends on what it is, what the situation is, how urgent it is. If that answers the question.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to play God. I haven't worked in emergency for hundreds of years, but sometimes we just have to play God. It's like if we have a mass casualty, we have to determine who is injured beyond saving and whose injury we think we should send to the hospital. And it's not a nice position to be in because there are people who I'm sure will be beyond the reach of medical care and they recovered because they wasn't in time. But sometimes you have to play God and make a choice, and you may have to decide, I'm saving the woman in childbirth versus the person who has the gunshot wound. Or you may decide that you're saving the person who has the gunshot wound. You can't decide if it was their fault, if they were shot by accident, if they were a murderer. Sometimes you just have to pick.
You just don't have the time to distinguish between judgment and purpose. I think that's the best way to put it. I don't have the time to decide between judgment and purpose. If you went killing somebody and you get shot, well, I don't know that. I don't know. I just see the request come in, stop the heart, then I have to move to So another one, this is probably one of the bigger points that I need people to understand. You cannot be infected during donation. It is virtually impossible because everything is sterile and used once. When we pull it, it's that one person. If they're not successful in donation, we dump the entire setup. The unit and the needle attached all have to work. So there's no risk of infecting. There's something contagious, unless it's on your skin, but we still sterilize the area before anything should happen.
Question is, are there any negative repercussions of being a volunteer donor? And I've decided now, because I heard, promotions for blood donors. So I'm saying, suppose I decide I want to be a donor, and I'm giving, it's up to 3 times a year you give or something like that.
I think it's 3 or more. So it depends on what you're donating.
If I am donating blood that regularly, are there negative repercussions for me that I need to be careful of?
Negatively?
Like anything that I can expect to happen?
Not
if
really.
you're doing that for long term? Nothing?
No, not really. Probably your count might be a little bit lower than normal, but not into anemic range. You might run at about 13. Constant donation might put you at about 10.
Your blood, your marrow continues to
turn over.
Yeah. And your blood cells will go about 120 days, but your marrow is pouring out every day. So
it's like an entire cycle. Again, renewable resource.
So if you keep eating right, and your blood count, because we will check your blood count, and it's normal, you can keep donating.
Yes.
Because the blood cells want to die, you never will.
Yeah, so like I said, the units have a shelf life outside the body of 35 days or so. Inside the body is about 120. So imagine you just take 35 days worth and you replenish 125 in a month. The turnover is so great that You're not losing anything in particular. So should you donate at the end of it all? Yes. Yes. I say yes, but this is your decision. At the end of everything I said, this comes to you deciding what is best for you. But the same way Jesus died for everybody, he decided on behalf of everyone. So you kind of have to also take into consideration what you do helps somebody else who can't. So like the same thing with our sister here her sister can't donate. That's one person on the picture. And actually one person who actually might need your donation to help them. You know, so where somebody falls, we have to pick up. Being our brother's keeper and just looking out for each other at the end of the day is a lot more than just looking through your window and making sure the money is breaking in the next man's house, that your gate is locked at night. It's a lot more than that. Because I guarantee you, when I leave here, I'm probably not going to get home till 12:30 in the morning. And whatever happens between now and work, I have to deal with. Some play God to the police, I have to, unfortunately, play God in them circumstances. It's not fun, because to get back a call to hear about a patient, I will cease to do after I just finished doing it. I can't tell you how that has made me feel several times. Even in the past week, we've had to do that. We had to do a long because for one individual, 6 minutes. And that patient passed away. Same thing. And they used all 6 minutes. So imagine 6 gone already. But there's somebody else who's going to come in who might just need 2. Replenishing the stock is more than just donating to find out your serological status. It is looking out for your brethren or your sister or your children outside of the environs of your house, your church, anybody who you come into contact with. When should you accept? That is between you and the physician. These are questions that between you and your doctor have to say, well, do I need it? And if he says yes, you need it, then I recommend it because it's coming. I can tell you where it's coming from, and we do not release no suspicious seed, unlabeled, wrong blood. It's not issued unless we have a very good reason, and it's always signed off by a physician. Anything we do is always signed off by somebody very nice. So the same way they might tell you, well, you have to sign here to be willing to accept donation. We have to sign to say we deem this compatible for issue. So there's a lot of accountability on either side. Now I need 2 people, somebody to read the first one, which says Proverbs 3:5-8. Who could do that? Oh, yes, well, she finds it, I can ask her questions.
Was there any time that a person went into donate blood to their own self and you test it and it's compatible?
Incompatible? Yeah. Those people generally have what's called an autoantibody, where antibodies you make are fighting you. So there's literally an internal war. And we have had issues where even to find units for said people, a colleague of mine has had to cross-match 20 units just to find one. And only one came out, and that one was actually partially compatible. But we still had to get a hematologist to sign off on it. So it is possible that we can test the unit, cross-match it, and realize this autologous donation actually is not compatible. So we are generally not, by protocol, going to issue the unit. That's when the doctors have to step in and make prophylactic measures. So we might be put on steroids before, during, or after, depending on when you're going to get the unit. Or if not, we have another one somewhere. We always prepare for one just in case it's not going to work. Even if it's just one, it will work. Right. So that is right. Proverbs 3:5. Yeah, 3, 5 to 8.
This is me, yes it is. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones.
I hope y'all see the Bible actually says, help to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. Those are the first two main areas where blood goes. From the very young to the adult. Mothers will know when you're developing. There's something called an umbilical cord that carries blood straight to the child. So imagine you are helping somebody who's already given their blood actively to someone else who they've never met. Just something to think on. Yes. Right?
Yes. There are some persons for religious or other reasons who don't believe in taking blood. However, I've heard that there are, I don't want to use the word fake blood, but kind of like,
if it's easy to explain using it, that's fine.
Right. I've heard that there are other ways or other blood-like things that can be given to persons who may, for whatever reason, not want to take blood from someone else. Is that something that is done here? And is that also something that is considered if you don't have blood units for a particular type of patient?
First part of that question, in terms of religious views, everybody is entitled to their own view. And we'll start with that. Religious or otherwise. Your opinion is your opinion. We have had cases where those individuals run at the lowest HP possible, incompatible with life and still living. And they say, no, we don't want it. I can't tell you how much percentage wise we live after that, but if the patient says no, it stops there. We don't even get involved. The only time maybe it gets to us is when the request comes in, and then the patient says no, we don't want it. If it's a religious view or a personal view, we don't want it. We might be caught halfway in the cross match, and they're told no, the patient doesn't want anything, so we see the process through to finish, but we don't issue. So that part, I leave that answers that question, but in terms of quote-unquote fake blood, I have read that there is something in the making, but it is not regular. Because blood contains so much more than just platelets, white cells, red cells. You have something called coagulation factors that are not artificially made. I don't think people really fully grasp how, and I keep saying this, how fearfully and wonderfully, extraordinarily you're made. Only you can manufacture. Maybe we can take from animals and make like or similar factors, but it is nothing like the real thing that comes from human being. So there are different transfusible fluids, like we'll say, platelets, fresh frozen plasma, regular plasma, same part of precipitate, but it is all manufactured coming from the work of the human themselves. And they also have the choice if they want it or not. You don't have to say, you need this. The patient will say, no. But once the patient says no, you can't push it.
Yeah, we do transfuse this blood from our lifestyle. They have to be able to carry oxygen, and then they can't carry oxygen. All they're doing is expanding the blood volume, which is helpful at some point, but you're going to need oxygen carry.
So you see how vital and how cool blood is? Blood transports oxygen. And I don't know how many other scientifically inclined persons there are here, but oxygen itself is quite flammable. It blows up, literally explodes. So the fact that you are transporting this particular compound in such a way that your body utilizes it and does not kill you, I think that explains all by itself how important and vital blood is as a fluid, as a tissue, and as a necessity for any human being. So the next one is who can get more 4:23 to 24. Ready? Yeah.
If any man have ears to hear, let him hear. And he said unto them, Take heed what ye hear, with what measure ye meet. It shall be measured to you, and unto you that hear shall more be given.
I chose that verse because at the end of the day, this is your choice. It's not mine. I've made my choice when it comes to this already. It is now on you to make your choice. If Jesus decided to die for you, he did. If you decide to, you know what, I will donate this for anybody, voluntarily. You don't have someone that's going to, it's just replenishing the blood bank itself. That is your choice. But at the end of the day, your choice affects somebody else. Your choice impacts the life of somebody else. Your blood, not to sound like a fool, but your blood, like actually let a father see their son one last time. Your blood might be the one thing for this mother to survive, to feed the child she just gave birth to. Your blood might be the one to stop the bleeding in this one individual who is called hemophilia, who just if they get a stem on their tongue and they bleed, it takes a long time for the bleeding to stop. It might just be your one, but it's your choice. Yes.
I don't know if it was ever a case for it, but since you're the only black man, what happens if you all have a surplus and you have more blood than you all for storage?
That's a great thing.
But when you store it, if all the 5 big areas that you have blood, where would you keep it?
The reality is, we have the space to facilitate the storage of the blood. I can't say we've had a milk and honey surplus to say that it has spilled into the corridors type of situation, but we have the areas to store it. And like I said, every 35 days, that unit is gone. So, at the end of the month, I guarantee you, about 10, 12 units maybe are already done. So the turnover of the donation versus the expiry is far enough, but also close enough that there will always be space. If that answers your question. Like I said, no milk and honey surplus that I've never seen yet, and I've been here 10 years. Haven't seen that. And last time, thank you all so much for hearing my little small promotion. I hope you could take something, that you've learned something, or have understood something a little bit better before that you didn't understand well now, or that you can go and tell somebody, you could donate, you work or slave, big or back, go donate. You can do that. However you do it, I appreciate it. And I'd like to thank Dr. Brathwaite for bringing me here to at least share my little small message.
Some of us have to go to collect the food for the social. We're starting in less than an hour. But can I just give space to a short testimony? I guarantee you that it will be less than 5 minutes of somebody who has experienced a salvific, life-saving experience with a blood donation. Sister, we encourage you.
It'll be very short. Now, you're going to ask a question about sickle cell, so it tells you that I can't give blood, and my sisters also can't give blood. I was having my son, went through the whole, had the best pregnancy in the world. Of the three, that was the easiest. The night I was, 3 a.m. in the morning when I was giving birth to Miles, I was the only person who had a partner with me. There was like 8 babies giving birth. My placenta routine. Now you know what I'm saying, right? And I'm there, just with the husband. No doctor, no nurse, anything. I lost so much blood that I literally passed out, became unconscious in the bed. So he goes into the hallway and started shouting. Still, my son is in his hand. Somebody comes, apparently, so I'm telling you now what I'm doing to him. He comes, someone comes, they check on me, every bell go off because now they realize I'm in danger. Fortunately, someone who was very close to my husband was one of the doctors and not very far away. He jumped in his car, he got there, and apparently he just came to tell them what to do to prepare me for surgery. That didn't happen. Apparently gloves, no gloves, just went in and pulled my placenta out to save my life, right? So I'm saying to all of us, if you can give blood, please do. Because you don't know who the mother is. You don't know whether it's your daughter, your cousin. You don't know who it might be at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning giving birth. And simply, not because they have a disease or anything, but because of placenta retains, they lose their life because there isn't enough blood. So I'm begging you, please, please, if I could, I'd be there in 3 weeks, but I can't. Bless you.
Yes. That is all. I'm sure that those of us who decided to stay on or to come in this afternoon, I'm sure we learned a lot. I'm sure our hearts burned within us, our hearts were stirred, and we want to do something. We're hoping that later on in the year we can have another health program that we can invite you to. But we always have good things happening here. We're going to have the social later. So we just want to bow our heads and have a closing prayer. So wherever you are, please stand. Thank you. Let's pray. Oh Father in heaven, we thank you so much for your presence with us here today, this morning, and this afternoon. We thank you for bringing to us safely the Toni, who was able to take us through the ins and outs of blood donation and blood banking, blood storage. We thank you for your blood, the blood of Jesus that was shed on Calvary for us, that gives us strength from day to day. And we ask, Lord, that you will be with those who are leaving here. May you take them safely to their homes. And those of us who are staying and those who are on their way for the social, I pray that you will bless our activities of tonight. Surround us with your holy angels. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
On your way out, we ask to support our pathfinders at the back. We have a few things on sale. You can please support the Pathfinder, the youth community Concord, Pathfinder Club as they prepare to travel and go to camp and everything else. And one of the evening we'll see many of you back at our social. Tonight we have games, we have trivia, some light refreshments. So I look forward to seeing you all.